You can't unsee what you see.
Happy hour. Okay, we just day drank.
So when we talk about you gambling and having an issue,
This is what we're talking about.
Do not buy another JVA warranty until you've looked at the Caddy Workmanship Guarantee Program.
We're kicking ass and taking names, apparently.
Caddy Shack.
all right, so this is take two.
Yeah.
Take two. We just recorded this,
Do it again.
but Evan's not here. Everyone may notice that Evan is not with us today, so we don't know actually what we're doing and how to record a podcast.
We got audio.
We had audio. We had no video. It might be better for everyone. I don't know, like at this point, but
Could be.
yeah. Dude, we're here. It's the end of the week. We made
Yeah.
it. Not like I worked that hard this week. Had kids' spring break. So I was actually down in Dripping Springs outside of Austin for the weekend and came back Wednesday. A lot of kids. There was 22 of us. We like rented this, like we stayed in this compound with all these small houses and had this central pool house and pool. It was very cool. But yeah, it was a lot.
Heard your pickleball game's getting pretty good.
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out. I've got sunburn. I'm literally peeling on my forehead because that sun, even though didn't realize how powerful it was, powerful stuff. And yes, I fell in love with pickleball. This is my first time I ever played it. I have waited out this long, and I waited because
You're late.
I knew I would love it. I knew I would love it, and I did. I mean, we played hours. I bet we played for 4 or 5 hours a day.
It's addicting.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Did you ever do one-on-one though?
No, always teams. I can't imagine one-on-one. So much running.
It takes away the fun of it.
Yeah.
You know, two
Just-
people, you're just bing, boom,
Yeah.
thinking it back and forth. When
Yeah.
it's one person, it's just like somebody hits a winner,
Yeah.
game over, not fun.
I had my buddy as my partner. Shout out to my boy JB Klausner. We lost every single match. Every single match, we didn't lose one. In fact, like the second or third day,
You didn't win one.
didn't win one.
Oh.
Didn't win a single one together as partners. But boy, we gave it a hell of an effort. And we played. I take that back. I think we did win one. We played his wife and one of our friends, Katie, and it was competitive. I think we won like 11-9. That was our only win. If we played some of these. Well,
Hey, it was your first weekend.
That's right.
You're still learning. There's a lot of rules.
There are.
You got to stay out of the kitchen and
Dude,
this,
I kept
that,
going.
the
I
other.
kept going in the kitchen. There was one time when we first started where like that ball is just up there and you're ready to just smash it, and I'm like getting all antsy with my feet, and I wanted to.
You're in the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen. My buddy's like, I'm not going to call it on you, but he called it. So anyway, but yeah, what is? How's the week gone here? I mean, it's been.
Week has been great.
Yeah.
We've had a bunch of contractor meetings, set up distributor meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Contractor meetings are awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody's loving the DIY program.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of really awesome feedback.
Yeah.
And kind of the same way the DIY program was built was exactly, we were getting all the feedback we were anticipating.
Yeah.
You know, we're purchasing $200,000 of warranty contracts.
Mm-hmm.
We're only getting back $10,000 in claims. Some of the claims we do file get denied. The DIY platform streamlines that whole entire process to where they're doing it themselves.
Yeah.
They get full control of their reserve funds. So it's been really awesome, just kind of the build out and then taking it to market and getting a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah.
The word's spreading quickly.
Yeah. Man, it was super like not controversial, but like pretty big shift for us, right? We have that third party product where you can get insurance with a Caddy warranty or through Caddy warranty, just like the other third parties. But and we've got a great customer base built up there that does a meaningful amount of volume. But we had to make that decision. Like we need to do what is in the best interest of the contractors. And so I guess we started working on it 6 months ago. We've been working on it for the last year, and we've had meetings with contractors about the DIY. We call it DIY because it's a program that's self-managed for the contractor. But getting the technology finalized and getting it to market, excuse me, has been awesome. And it's funny. I hear you and Evan talk about the presentation. It's like they're literally giving us back our presentation because they feel it, they're aware of it. They're waking up to the like aha of why am I sending so much money to these warranty companies and then not getting it back in return? And I was surprised based on what you guys told me how many contractors are experiencing denied claims and just all of this stuff. Like it's crazy.
It's been really just exciting to see overall. Like it was everybody's saying like, where have you been our whole life?
Yeah.
And we're saying we were contractors before this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why the product is the way it is, because it was built by contractors. So
Yeah.
it's, what do we want to see?
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to handle it from the point of view as a contractor, opening it up to everybody else? And I mean, it's really, really awesome conversations. Hey, we're spending $200,000 in plans. We have customers moving, so that money's gone. And it's like, yep, that's the program. Don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Taking advantages of everything, the data that the software builds as far as claims by teams is something that people are really excited to implement.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you're smiling. And I did get to join, albeit remotely, for some of these. And it's exactly what we hear. Like one of the larger DFW-based contractors that we met with was saying exactly that. Like they're buying $250,000 of contract, $200,000 to $250,000 of contracts a year, and they're filing like, well, let's not say filing, but they're receiving $8,000, $9,000 in claims per year, which is exactly in line with what we've been saying and shouting, on this podcast, which is the contracts have 50% gross margin in them plus. And obviously, depending on a high volume contractor, it may be a little bit less, but ultimately, that's in a very simple way how it kind of pans out. If they're, let's for the sake of it being easy, say that they're buying $200,000 of plans a year over 10 years. It's $2 million of plans, and they're only receiving back $8,000 a year. Well, on a 10-year term contract, not to get too weedy on that, that's a fraction of what it should be. If they're going to break even on that and it was earned evenly over 10 years, you would expect to get $20,000 a year back over 10 years each year in claims, and that would result in a break even.
Yeah.
But like we've been saying, they're getting $8,000. And so they're sitting there going, why am I paying all this money to these third-party companies? And I think the most important miss, and it's a little bit more complicated, but is really on the money that they're missing out on, even aside from the claims dollars. Like we talk about the gross margin of selling a contract for $1,000 and only having, $500 or less of claims on it over the life of the contract. But more importantly, it's that investment income that we keep talking about. That money, because these are such long-term contracts, can sit in an account and accrue interest in a meaningful way. I mean, compounded interest over 10 years is meaningful, right?
Oh,
especially
yeah.
when you're sending $250,000 a year over to a reserve account. So I love that the feedback has been positive as we expected it to be. The distributors, I've been pleasantly surprised because we've been meeting with distributors. We did have a couple remote distributor calls because these were distributors outside of DFW that we were talking to. And what I've been pleasantly surprised with is not necessarily just the excitement that they have with this product because we're addressing such a large market now. You take contractors and, it might be 10% or less that are offering long-term contracts that are buying third-party warranties long-term. The other 90% are doing a version of this where they're, putting their guarantees out there, but they're not buying contracts and they're self-funding it kind of, but they don't have the data to understand what that liability really is.
Yeah, how much to actually reserve per job. It's just like, yeah, we'll guarantee it for a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
And there's no data behind it.
Exactly. And if they're not actually reserving the money or don't understand what it is, like it's risky for the wholesale distributor who's selling them accounts and have credit accounts with them because you don't know like what you don't know. But I've been pleasantly surprised that these distributors are so eager to offer a better tool to their contractor base.
Yeah.
They're making 10, 15% right now on the contracts that they take to a contractor that are then sold to a consumer in a lot of cases. And so I was worried, and I don't know if, we've talked about this a lot, that, well, is this distributor gonna have to forego so much revenue from another third-party company that's providing them rebate money, or are they going to want to do what's in the best interest of their contractor? And they've all
Yeah.
gone that route.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit of an unknown, because we know how the relationship between a third-party warranty and distributors, how that works. There's normally a compensation involved.
And there should be, right? Like we do believe that a distributor's role is to develop that relationship with the contractor, and then it's the distributor principal's role to vet, the products that they're putting into their warehouses or that they're promoting. And so, we think there is value there, and they should be compensated, and they are compensated with our subscriptions that we're doing with this. But it's not meaningful, like 15% of all these contractors' purchase. So I was worried about that, but man, they've gone as far as saying, well, how do we actually subsidize the entire cost for that contractor to get them using this platform? And some of the one out of the Carolinas we met with, they went. I mean, they're going the far direction where not only do they want to pay for this for the contractor, they're talking about running programs where they actually participate in some of that claim volume on the products that they particularly sell to incentivize buying their equipment.
Which is, it's awesome.
It's cool. It's been very, very refreshing. And so we're at that point now where we have the product that's the third-party warranty, which we believe is far superior to what's in market because it's performance driven. So we isolate it down to the contractor level, and based on how that contractor performs, their pricing moves up and down. Because we believe that the contractors that do great quality work and have less claims should pay less than the contractors that are filing a ton of claims.
Exactly.
But with this, it just puts it all back in the hands of the contractor. And so I have loved the momentum that has been, we're gaining with this, and the calls we're having. The people that are seeing these videos are awesome. We're not viral. We're not hitting, thousands or tens of thousands of views on these, but the ones that are seeing it are meaningful.
Yeah, no, they want to learn more. They want to get the demo and see, because it's relatable.
Yeah.
It's very relatable. Hey, are you purchasing a bunch of third-party plans?
Yeah.
Are you getting all that money back in claims? Almost never.
Yeah.
Or getting even remotely close to it. So it's I am doing that. How can I do this myself?
Yeah.
And we engage in conversation, and they love it, and let's go now.
Well, and we love to use the term that it's built by contractors for contractors. I've been a contractor. You've been a contractor. We ask ourselves the same questions once we put the contracting hat on and remove ourselves from the warranty company or whatever, and we say, is this the best value for us as contractors? I mean, to your experience, I think you had this aha moment very early on when you were running your business. Yeah,
I saw a lot of money going towards contracts, and I didn't ever file a single claim.
Yeah.
So my dad, who worked at Train and connected me with Brandon, I called him just to get some of his advice. He's been in the industry for 20 years. And I was like, I'm buying a lot of these contracts. I'm very diligent and adhere to all the specifications of an install. So I'm very detail oriented with that. And I'm purchasing all these plans, but I'm not ever filing a claim.
Yeah.
I still want to offer a guarantee or a warranty product.
To be competitive.
Yes, to be competitive in the market, but I don't want to just pay $700 for a contract, and the likelihood of filing a claim is relatively small. It was actually zero over the course of 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to talk to Brandon and Evan because this is what they're set out and they're building right now.
Yeah. Dude, I asked myself the same thing, and that's what's hard. My background prior to having the big service company that I had was on the warranty. We built a warranty company, right? And so we were responsible for telling that story, include these, lock yourself into that customer. This is such a great thing. And that was because we were new in the industry. This is going back to 2010, like January of 10. So crazy to believe that's 15 years ago now. And we didn't know any better. We weren't contractors at that point. And so I think oftentimes products are created in various industries where you don't actually have the experience of boots on the ground, doing the work to understand, is this the actual best product for the market? And so it's funny because we were talking about this on the previous podcast that we didn't record, of the story is still the same. these sales reps for warranty companies, they come in and they don't know much better. I mean, it's not a fault of theirs. They just know what they're told to promote.
It's kind of regurgitating the same script.
It is a
'Cause
script.
If you, which I've done, have gone to different third-party warranty companies,
Yeah.
it's you need to buy these contracts for your customers to lock them in for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Own your customer for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, then I meet Brandon Evan,
Yeah.
who kind of shines some light. So I start doing digging, and I'm reading these contracts, and it's nowhere in there does it say that I own this customer. It actually says the obligor
Yep.
owns the customer,
Yep.
and that if the customer or the homeowner calls them instead of me, that the obligor can anybody in their network they can send out.
Yep.
So it's
Concerning.
concerning, frustrating. To show a little bit of restraint on vocabulary, it's a little messed up.
Unlike
to
you.
where I could purchase a $700 plan for a customer.
Yep.
If the customer dials just a different phone number on a piece of paperwork that I gave to them, that I essentially paid for another company to take over the relationship of my customer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not very happy with that.
Well, and I think that what you'll hear in the market from our competitors is that it doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. You are locked in. Don't worry about what the actual contracts say. You're locked in. And we're going to talk today a little bit about to show it does happen. This has happened to us. That's the beautiful thing about Caddy is we've gone through these battles. We've gone through, we've been in the trenches, and I guess luckily we built a big company up.
You've pioneered
Yeah.
two products in industries. They're different, to where it's like you've already lived and fought these battles. And then when I see you in these distributor meetings and contractor meetings, it's like, hey, I know you're kind of going down this path. We went down that path. We recommend that you maybe go over here because these are the pain points that
Yeah.
we ran into.
Yep.
And I think everybody loves it.
Yeah. Well, and that is what Caddy is designed to do. And I don't know that we tell, that message often well enough, but like Caddy is here, we're not taking the shots, right? The whole idea of the brand and the company is that we're not the golfer. We're the guy that's on the side that's sitting there advising you, hey, hit the 7-iron here, not the 8-iron,
Yeah.
right? There's a little bit of wind up there. And that's what's so cool about this is that we have gone through that, and we've had the idea behind Caddy started with we were just one guy in one truck. That's how we started. And then we got bigger, and then we got bigger, and then we sold to Angie, the parent company of Home Advisor and Angie's List, and we had so much resource. We had legal and HR, accounting, finance teams. So we had people that would help us go buy trucks more competitively or broker our insurance to where we were paying had the right coverage, got the right value out of that. Leases. We had offices in San Antonio, Houston, Austin, Dallas, Arizona, and we had them in Phoenix, Vegas, and Atlanta. We had teams. We had a real estate team that would go negotiate these contracts for us. So we were able to focus on building the business, taking the shots, and we had a huge amount of resource behind us to help us be most successful. And that's what Caddy is. It was eye-opening to say, God, these guys, we've been there. We know how hard it is, and you've done it yourself. It's hard. You're the janitor, the bookkeeper, the customer service rep, everything. It's challenging.
Parts
running,
all of it.
warrant, like taking stuff back, like all of it. It's crazy. So that's what Caddy is here to do, is to help these contractors that are going through that get to that next level. And they're not always going to need Caddy for every service, but there are times throughout that life cycle where we play a really good role. The warranties are one of those things. And we're so honed in on warranties right now because it's such a large line item. And I said this last week, but people don't maybe they realize, I know you did, but like a coil that you're buying as a contractor, is a few $100. A service contract is $700 to $1,000.
The people we met with this week, they were all paying over $1,000.
Yeah.
Which that's a furnace, that's a condenser,
Yeah.
that's a couple coils.
It's a big line item. So the what we want to try to accomplish in this podcast is to educate. The whole point of this is to, just have people ask why or open their eyes. And I think it's important, to explain the structure of a warranty company, who the parties are, and who owns the customer,
Yep.
right? So let's back up. So I mentioned earlier that we were involved with another warranty company, a competitor here in Dallas, based out of Argyle, JB and Associates, and and this world is a small world, right? So there's another competitor here. I think they're based out of here still. I don't know where they're actually domiciled, but Cool Care is another one. And the three that we primarily run into are AIG, Cool Care, and JB Warranties, right, as competitors. To kind of validate our background or to explain where we've come from, we started, Evan obviously not with us today, but we started at JB Warranties as employees 3 and 4 behind my dad, my grandpa, and my uncle Steve. Shout out Steve Q. But we actually started out with JBA as a distributor partner of Standard Supply, which I kind of giggle at because Standard Supply, I believe, is the one that started Cool Care. I don't believe. I know they started Cool Care because what happened was they saw the JB success and thought, well, we can do this. And their old president, I don't know if he's a CEO or what his title was exactly, but Lance Malone, who was there, was a insurance guy. He had insurance background. And he saw what we were doing and thought, wow, we could do this. And kudos to him because it looks like it's worked. I believe Cool Care has done a great job of getting to market and getting a lot of contractors purchasing. We run into them a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because, we actually started out with Standard as our first distribution partner when we were running JB. And then as it evolved, they branched off and partnered with a warranty company called Trinity, I believe. Mm-hmm. We actually hired at JBA some old Trinity people at one point. So it's just a really shared
We've
world.
either worked at the warranty company, been customers at all the warranty companies.
Yeah, we've dipped our toe in the water of all of them.
Yeah,
and so going to the structure, what people don't. Well, let's back up and just talk about the structure first. So you have all these parties in play in the warranty space. So it starts with an insurance company, okay? And the insurance company will generally insure the contracts or insure the obligor of the contracts. So there's an insurance company, an obligor, an administrator, and then all the sales, the marketing and sales companies. And so like in the JB world, while we were there, it's different now. I think I don't exactly know their structure because I'm not involved with that organization, but they had an insurance company called DAC. They had our company that we owned called American Warranty Corporation, part of American Warranty Group. They had an administration company that we owned called Administar, and then you had JBA. And now they've switched, and there's like Fortress as an obligor, I think, in some of those companies. But ultimately, you have an insurance carrier, an obligor, an administrator, and then you have a marketing arm. And the marketing arm is the brands that we are familiar with: Cool Care, JB Warranties, those companies. And they're the ones that go and they partner with these distributors to get to contractors, and then they partner with contractors, and this is important, to sell the contracts to homeowners.
Yep.
For so long, and I think private equity guys value this right now, they think that that customers are locked in to the contractor because the contractor is one that did the installation, presented in their proposal that it comes with a 10-year labor warranty. But what they don't realize is that when you look through the fine print of these contracts, it's the obligor or the insurance carrier that own that relationship with the consumer.
Yeah, and as a contractor purchasing contracts for customers, I just thought I was purchasing a contract from Cool Care, and I was fulfilling it through Lone Star to the customer, and then I thought it was like basically me and the customer, and then if there was a claim, I would go from Lone Star to Cool Care.
Yeah.
And now I know behind the scenes that there's 3 or 4 other hands involved in this piece.
Yep.
And one of those other hands, not Lone Star, was the one who had the right to the customer, not me.
Yep. And it doesn't happen often. So this isn't a crazy scare tactic that it would bypass that chain of like selling and then doing claims, because fundamentally contractors know this. It does work because it's easier on the administration side for the consumer to call the contractor to go out and do the work. There's problems here and there's conflicts in that. The contractor who has sold the contract to the consumer then goes and does the claim work, and they go back to the warranty company. Generally, it's the administrator, although that's kind of covered up sometimes by the different brands on who you're working with. But the contractor goes back to the warranty company. I'm just going to put them all in one bucket
Yep.
for the sake of this conversation. And they go file a claim and they hope they get it covered. So they're both the distributor and then they're going back and going, please pay me the money that I'm owed. And
They purchased it, they sold it. Now they're trying to
get money back.
get it back just through the policy that they believe they purchased.
Mm-hmm. And we're hearing more and more about denials, right? So, I mean, how many times did we hear this week? Yeah, they're starting to deny more. There's denials. Now, whether it's per terms and conditions and following the rule or whatever, set that aside. There are denials in this. So fundamentally, the conflict that exists is that you've got the same company that's selling it and servicing it also going back to the people that they're the representative for and saying, please pay me my money.
Yeah, I mean, it's like buying car insurance, getting in a wreck, and then going and back to your car insurance company and being like, you're not covered.
Yeah. Not this one.
Yeah.
That was maintenance.
It's like, but I thought this was the whole reason I purchased it.
Yeah.
And that was like the first topic of all of these meetings were, how'd you hear about Caddy? We either saw a video, we saw the calculator, they reached out to us. And like the very first thing was, we're buying a lot of contracts. We don't have much dollars getting back into our account via claims.
Yep.
And the claims that we are filing, quite a bit of them are getting denied.
Yeah.
And the DIY program, you're in full control from start to finish. The money stays with you. The claims, totally up to you.
Everyone's cut out of it, right? Like we what we've done is we've said, we as contractors realize, just like what you did, where there's no claims on it. Well, HVAC Home Supply, one of our other companies, had no claims either. Like we did like 150 installations and had 0 claims.
So that could have been $150,000
right back
to
in
third party.
Yeah,
and
gone.
Yeah, poof,
gone.
Or $150,000 in the reserve account that's accruing interest and a valuable liability / asset to the business.
Yeah. If you use the tools right and you understand what your true costs are and you're reserving more, it is an asset, right? Because on the balance sheet, your asset that you have sitting over there exceeds your liabilities, and it's a good thing. Yep. And that's what we're here to do, is educate. Use the tools. We know that a large percentage of the market isn't doing anything but just setting money aside or saying that it comes with a reserve or a guarantee. The problem with that is that those guarantees are not calculated off of anything. So we think this is super valuable to help people, contractors, understand, how do I make this an asset instead of a liability? What should I be setting aside? And we had the conversation this week. Like the contractor you're talking about that puts $1,000 away asked.
Well, yeah, they're purchasing $1,000. The plan they're purchasing is over $1,000, and we took all of their data, we inputted into the Caddy software, and it said you need to reserve $346. And they're like, what? What's that based off of? And it's like, well, it's based off of all of your company metrics, 20 years worth of data.
Yep.
You need to reserve $346. And they're like, we're purchasing plans for over $1,000. And it's like, well, you can reserve $1,000, but truly based off your data, you'll be fine if you just reserve $346 and the trend of your install success continues.
Yep. Their question was, well, what do I do then? Like, what would you recommend we do? I was like, keep reserving the $1,000 for right now.
Yeah.
Get comfortable with it. Build up a reserve. I mean, what is a reserve? A reserve is there for a rainy day. The reserve is there to back the guarantee that you're putting out there. So being over-reserved is okay.
It's great.
Right? Because not only are you over-reserved, you're making interest on all that money as it sits there over these long-term contracts. So it's a great thing. We've kind of cut out some of the conflict that we think exists, and there's not as many hands, in that pot getting that money. And, it goes back to, it's not for everyone. There are contractors out there whose loss costs far exceed what a contract cost. And those guys, this or the performance program, they don't work well for. Those kind of guys will do phenomenally well at a JB Warranties or a Cool Care or an AIG.
Yeah.
And we think that's a great spot for them, because until you get your quality control down or whatever the business reason that you're having these claims are, it makes sense over there.
I mean, those guys could continue to purchase the contracts they're purchasing, sign up for the DIY program. It's $300 a month.
Yeah.
And track the data.
Yeah.
And then once you have the data in the right spot, then okay.
Shift.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Crawl, walk, run, get into it. And that's the thing. We've talked a lot about that. Like if you do feel uncomfortable carrying that type of liability, run these next to each other. Run these next to each other. Buy those third-party plans. Buy them from us if you want to. Buy the third-party insured plans. aggregate the data over time and see what you really need to be. Or what you can do, and I don't know how agreeable these third-party companies have been to this, request your data.
Yeah.
Request the data. I keep saying that over and over. Like, at minimum, you're going to save yourself money by going and renegotiating your pricing with them. But request your performance. Go understand what your loss cost is. Understand what you should be putting aside. Open the curtain and like from these guys and figure out what it really should cost to run your program. And I'm a firm believer that people should make money in doing services. Like, contractors need to be paid appropriately for the work they do, and I think that warranty companies should be paid appropriately for the work that they're performing. But get educated.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And you'd think that would be data that you'd want to share.
Yeah.
Like that you'd want to share. It's like, hey, you had a great year. Your loss cost was $50.
Yep.
And you're purchasing plans that are $400. That was the cost plus model that was built.
Mm-hmm.
But that helps keep the dealer in check, their performance in check. So definitely go request that and try to get it.
Yeah.
It'll help you out. It'll help see like how your team's performing.
Yeah. One of the things, I completely agree. I think it's critically important that everyone gets educated. That's the whole point of Caddy, whether you utilize us as a partner or as a software provider or whatever, at least get educated. That's our biggest driver. And so speaking of that education, one of the things that keeps coming up is like we talked about is who owns the customer. Like I said, most often it's going to follow the normal contractor selling, contractor claiming, all dealing with the warranty company, but not always. And I think, in my time at JB, we absolutely had contractors, for whatever reason, their claims were too high, it didn't make sense, where you had to look at it and go, is this contractor suited to do the work on these contracts, or is it going to continue to cost us far in excess of what we're reserving? And we had to make some tough decisions then. Well, they're going to say and market all our competitors that we would never do that. We're not going to change those. We're not going to transfer those contracts. And private equity guys that are listening to this, you're buying these companies with these contracts out there thinking that these customers are locked in to that contracting company that you're purchasing. And whether you're selling to private equity or you're just an individual company that's doing this, you need to understand that it's not your customer. It's
Yep.
very important. I mean, at any moment, these third-party warranty companies could decide to make a business change. They could sell to someone or whatever it is and make a business model change where, hey, we've got hundreds of thousands, millions possibly at this moment of customers who are locked into these long-term contracts. Maybe we should service them. Mm-hmm. Maybe someone else should service them. Maybe we, a big private equity group that owns a bunch of different contracting companies wants to buy the warranty company and run those claims themselves. And all of a sudden they've got millions of customers into their service network. And so it does happen. And specifically, we've had it happen where we say we go through the trenches and learn these lessons so that the contractors can avoid them. We've had it happen. So going back a few years when I was running that large service company Fixed, we were selling JB warranties, right? Obviously, we had a vested interest in it because we owned the administration company and the obligor company. But what ended up happening with that is we were locked out of the platform for months, 5 or 6 months. And during that time, we couldn't file claims, okay? So what we did when we had to do that, because we're doing all the service work and not getting compensated on it, was we had to request, we went in and requested that the consumer's contracts be canceled or transferred. And our intention there was, it's the same obligor company. Let's cancel them through the provider and let's go repurchase them, thinking that our relationship was with the warranty company, not with not the consumer in the warranty company. So we were going to cancel them and then rebuy the contracts and stand behind the work. Mind you, just like any contractor listening to this, the consumer has no idea who the warranty company is unless they're reading through their terms and conditions. They just think the guy that installed my system is who I deal with. Yeah, it's Fixed. So we requested that from JB Warranties, right? And this was kind of one of the aha moments too, because you got to keep in mind to this point, I understood the relationship, but I'd also been out there for 8 years at that time, meeting with all these contractors, telling them, hey, you lock the same story that we hear right now from Cool Care and from JB Warranties and everyone else. You lock that customer in, it's your customer, whatever. We found out the hard way that it's not. So we requested that, and here's how this thing went. we didn't get any response from JB Warranties regarding what the update was or how they were going to handle it or what our options were as a contractor that had sold their contracts to these consumers. Instead, what happened was a letter went out directly from JB Warranties to the homeowner, okay? And I love the way that it starts. I mean, it's so powerful in helping to identify who owns the customer, because they started the letter with, "To our valued customer." Well, I'm confused.
There it is right there.
Yeah, because I thought that the customer was my customer. But that customer is the warranty company's customer or the obligor insurance carrier's customer.
Yeah, well, the homeowner thinks they're the customer of Fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Fixed thinks their customer is the homeowner,
Yeah.
and that JBA is who they file claims through.
Yeah.
And
We kind of thought that us purchasing contracts to ensure that we could take care of the customer would be with us as the contractor, and that, you know, canceling these contracts and repurchasing with another provider would mean that we're still covering these homeowners.
yeah,
That is not what happened. What happened was JB sent a letter out without talking to us at any point in this and said, basically, to summarize, it's a little bit of a long-ish letter. They said that they did, after further investigation, they believe that homeowners are not aware of this cancellation. And in order to protect their interest and their investment in their new HVAC system, they unilaterally have exercised their rights to transfer the warranty to another service provider in our market. Your new service provider happened to be the contractor that was like right next door to us, right? So they transferred so let's follow that for a second. We went out, we sold all these contracts to our customers, and then because we couldn't file claims, tried to remedy that situation because we're just covering all this. So if
yeah, you're just out of pocket.
we're just out of pocket. It's like getting a denied claim, except we couldn't even file the claim. Sold them, did all this stuff, locked that customer into us supposedly, but then it was just transferred to another customer. So all that money that we spent in acquiring these customers and doing that, gone.
Yeah, gone.
Gone. Right
And
to our
you
competitors.
paid-
To our competitors.
Yeah, you paid for your competitor to take over your client base.
Yes. Yeah. And so what do you think is going to happen when you are performing poorly, like really poorly? Are you going to keep those customers? Who owns it? That insurance company or obligor company is going to look at that contractor that's performing poorly and say, we got to make a decision.
Yeah, let's go find a contractor who doesn't file any claims with us and transfer
Yes.
poor performing contractor. All their customers are now.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So never happens. It does happen. It does happen. So if you hear that it doesn't, here's proof right here that it does happen. Now, I'll tell you, administratively, it was a nightmare for us because when we were running this service company, we cared a lot about that customer.
And that's what, when we've been meeting with these contractors, all of them are saying the same thing. We are getting our claims denied, but they are still going and doing the work
Yep.
for free.
Yeah.
They're not charging, so they ate the cost of the contract that they purchased, and they're eating all the labor expenses to still just provide the promise that they sold to their homeowner, the customer.
Yep. I mean, our only thing that we could do in that scenario, and I want contractors to be aware of this, was to cover those contracts because they got this letter. They don't know who the warranty company is. They get this letter, and we ended up having all of our customers effectively cancel the contracts with JB, and we serviced those contracts at our own expense. So we bought the contracts, we sent the premium over, premium sat there, it stayed with JB, never went anywhere else.
Well, I mean, contractors work so hard just to get into the door of a house and provide the best experience possible. You think buying the warranty contract is the best experience possible you can provide. You think you own them, and we see here, I mean, just complete proof that not the case.
Yeah, and builds up our competitors while it's hurting us. So that's rough. So we did end up servicing those and standing behind them, and it was. It's rough, but it can happen. So anyone that's listening to this, like, be aware that you may hear things out in the market. Hell, we said them as reps, lock them in, they're yours, all stuff. In reality, read contracts. Read the contract.
Yeah, trust but verify.
Yeah, trust but verify. And
I trusted, did not verify, and then I went back and read, and I was like, well, yeah, no, I don't own this relationship at all.
Yep. It's crazy. So I think that's the important thing for the purpose of this podcast today. We just wanted to explain who's all in play, what the structure of a warranty company looks like, so that you know if you're selling third-party warranties, what you're getting involved with. You need to understand who owns the customer and what can happen, because it has happened. And then more importantly, we want you to know there's another option. And when you do the DIY, you truly are in control of that customer, of that interest that's earned on the reserve, of the performance of that reserve. All of those things are put back into your business, and it's just a beautiful thing. So again, by contractors, for contractors, we think this is a much better product, and it's been well received.
Yeah.
It's been a fun week.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I've loved all the feedback we've been getting, building a lot of momentum, and I think a lot of our drive is we believe the product, the contractors we're working with believe in the product, so we just want to get it out to everybody as fast as possible.
Yep.
So everybody can get better data, own their customer,
Save money.
save
Tons.
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. It goes a long way. We all know that. We're coming out of shoulder season right now. I mean, it would be very, very nice to be able to, have the cash in your company versus somewhere else. And that's the one other thing. And this is a little bit of a out of left field thing here, but one metric that warranty companies know very well, and you've seen it, is that homeowners only stay in their house for 7 years. Generally, like we're broad brush stroking it, but let's say it's 7 years. The warranty companies know that. We know that as the warranty company. So what's crazy is that you're selling 10-year term contracts. These consumers move. Most contracting companies are not set up to go reacquire that customer that has bought that house at year 8 and get that service. It's very hard administratively to keep up with that. It's burdensome and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Warranty companies know that. So there's a thing called breakage. And breakage is real. So we know that with these 10-year term contracts, and we could get more specifically with this about how people are doing air conditioning installations during selling their house and putting these on there. There's all kinds of things, but just simply saying 7 years in a house, 10-year contract, those remaining 3 years on these contracts, generally a large percentage of them drop to the bottom line, and they become just pure profit for the warranty companies. And we've seen it over and over and over and over and over. So it's another thing to be aware of. And as a contractor, you guys know this. We all know that when that consumer's gone, that the new customer that's in there, they don't have the paperwork and all that stuff for their air conditioning system. They don't know who to call. They're going to go and start the whole search over again for a new customer. You're not necessarily locked into them. And so warranty companies benefit hugely off of that. And unfortunately, the contractor is at the mercy of just losing that money that they've set out there.
Yeah, and hopefully the sticker that you put on the unit gets another phone call back. I mean, I didn't even know you could transfer them.
Yeah.
Like, truly, that wasn't the pitch. The pitch was on the customer.
Yeah.
And I had a customer move, and I was like, I guess I just lost all that money.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the pitches that we had. Hey, these are transferable at no cost or low cost or whatever it was. But how do you know that homeowner moved out of that house? Mm-hmm. Right? As a contractor, how do you know? Like, I didn't know that Miss Smith moved at year 4 because I called to schedule her maintenance, and she's like, hey, I already had another company out here. Well, then you go through the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's like they are transferable, and that's a pitch, and that's a I'm not going to say a gimmick, but it's a positive that's pushed out there. But in reality, does that happen? Not often, and we know that. And so, anyways, what's great about that is when you're the contractor and you've put away the appropriate amount of money for 10 years, when that customer moves, and if you don't reacquire the customer, it comes right back to your bottom line.
Stays with you.
Stays with you. It doesn't
the whole time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, guys. The thing about Caddy, and we know this, you hear us say this all the time, we are not here to build the biggest offices and to have these like event spaces to host everyone. That is not what we're here to do. In fact, we're not here to go sponsor everything either. We're not sponsoring all the local golf tournaments, although I think we've done one. Stupid of us. But we're not in this game of going and doing that. And we, like I said in the last podcast, we're not putting 60, 70 sales reps on the ground. That's expensive.
Yeah.
And as a contractor, when I see a TM roll in a $100,000 car, or I go to an office that's $20 million, whatever the price is.
The golf trips, the really nice golf trips.
Yeah, all that stuff. I think there's a time and place, and I believe in relationship building, but I also believe that we should be putting that money back in the contractor's business for them to make the decision, how do I want to spend this money, my money, right? Maybe I want to take my wife on a trip, and I don't necessarily want to go with my TM.
Yeah.
Or maybe I want to do something else with that money, like hire another employee. I don't want to pay for a ranch or a tower or whatever for these people to office out of. Like, I believe in good working conditions. We have a great culture here, but we're all very much under the same mindset that we've got to provide the most value to our customers. And the way that we do that is by being lean, mean, nimble, aggressive, all that stuff. And so
Transparent.
You know,
Very
exactly.
transparent.
Yeah, you know exactly what we make. You know,
Yeah.
we're going to make $3,600 a year on running that warranty program for you, not $250,000 or whatever it is. So anyways, I just want to make sure everyone knows that's our philosophy. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. It seems to be working for us and we like it. So that's kind of the culture that we're building, and our mission here is to, continue to push the products that are in the best interest of the customer, which is why we made this big pivot basically, right?
Yeah.
It was risky. It is risky. But it's in the best interest of the customer. So we had to make a business decision, and that's what we did. So
Getting received well.
it is.
It's exciting.
It's been fun. Well, what a good week. This is fun to wrap up with. I'm glad my spring break's over, and I'm glad to be back in the office for the second part of this week, and I look forward to next week. I think a lot of people are out next week. Most people's spring break is next week.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really have no idea.
Nick doesn't have kids, so he's not having to put up with the chaos of this.
Like when I'm talking to scheduling all these meetings, it's
Yeah.
like they're on spring break now, so we're contacting next week, and then
Yeah.
some of them were out. And it's been all over the place. I need these this week and next week to just be done.
Yeah, I know. It's the worst time because it's like hot out. I mean, there's air conditioning calls being run right now, and everyone's on break. But either way, glad to be back here. What a fun freaking week, and the last few weeks have been a ton of fun. Lots of momentum. We look forward to continuing, that going into the summer. It's not too late if you're a contractor and you want to make a change. I don't know how much time we spent on it, but this is an easy product to implement.
Yeah.
Very easy.
It's the exact same way that you are purchasing a JBA plan or Cool Care plan, instead of at the very end clicking
Send money.
purchase.
Yeah, send money.
You
to
are
them.
just reserving the funds in your own account and letting it go to work for you.
Yep.
It's the same process. Claim process, the exact same, but instead of paying a claim or applying to get a claim, you are just handling it all yourself.
Yep. Yeah, I think what you said is super powerful. I want to wrap with this. We do want to get this out to market very quickly. We want folks to benefit from this. We want to save people money. And so if you're a distributor that gets your ears or eyes on this video, or you're a contractor, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Let us show you. The worst case is you spend 10 or 15 minutes with us and you understand what we're doing and you save money. Whether you use it or you go negotiate better pricing with your current provider, we want to help you.
Yeah.
So
Let's do it.
That's
Call
it.
us.
Yeah, call us. Have a good weekend.
Bye.